Hi, guys. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a very powerful transit going on in the sky right now. We're going to talk about Saturn going direct, which is amazing. Saturn is powerful with manifestation because this is all about really building something, solid and long lasting in this material reality. I am smiling about it though, because Saturn is in Pisces. So, we are kind of going on a spiritual adventure with this Saturn right now. Saturn isn't like fully Saturning right now because Saturn normally is like very solid and, just very fixed and, has a lot of walls and boundaries. But in Pisces, this does have to more so do with like the internal, walls and boundaries. And Saturn is making a very powerful trine to Jupiter. So this is very optimistic, very expansive, very helpful with giving us a manifestation boost with being able to see the different ways that we can really build in a way that is very helpful for us. In a way that is, building from the soul versus building from external expectations or anything. So, hi, if you don't know me, my name is Jenna. I look at the sky here so you can co-create with the universe. I want to show you all the ways that you can manifest and create in this reality and where to focus your attention so, you can build in the best way for you. And I finally found a way to be diplomatic about this whole thing with true sidereal, with looking at the sky versus tropical and versus even sidereal, which is kind of like the middle one. I am going to make a video about it soon, but basically tropical is the physical. I kept on getting downloads about this. Tropical is the physical. Tropical is the physical. And that's what it is. It's kind of also has to do with like the different levels of awakening and stages that you are really at. So I would say that the true sky is more so aligning with your higher self. So that's why I'm going to continue to look at the real sky, because I do resonate more so with my true sky chart, because I am more so in alignment with my higher self because I have been prioritizing that. I've also gone through, many spiritual awakenings, but like it is a journey to get to this point. So I do think tropical is, powerful for recognizing what's going on in the physical and being aware of that. But at the same time, it is more powerful to manifest, more so in alignment with your higher self. Because that is the first rule of manifestation. Don't look at the physical, So there is a thing with me where I keep on looking at the tropical and I just don't fully resonate with it all the time because I am building from my higher self now. And yeah, just rule number one with manifestation, don't look at the physical. I feel like when you look at your tropical chart, sometimes there is a tendency to get stuck in more of a victim mentality versus being truly empowered in your higher self. So I'll make a longer video about that later, but let's get into this. So first, we're going to look at Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Then we're going to look at Jupiter. I'm going to explain the energy going on and how you can take advantage of it. And then I'm going to go through all the signs. So Saturn and Neptune, I'm going to include them together because they are, conjuncting. Neptune also has a very wide orb. I give it a 10-degree orb usually. So I think they've been conjuncting for a while now. We can kind of see in our world, how they have, been really dispelling a lot of illusions. Saturn is structure, it's maturity. Wherever Saturn is, it's where we kind of have to get a little serious because there is more self-awareness that we can have in this area to be really strong manifestors in this reality. Because Saturn, they say it's like the ruler of karma, but how we've learned about karma is, not what really karma is. Karma is really just a tool for self-awareness. So we can become more aware of who we truly are, which is, us at that soul level, and just us not building from distortions and, the current realities. way that we've all, kind of learned a lot of distortions and lower ways of thinking versus, becoming fully self-aware of that internal being and that internal version of yourself so you can have more freedom to build in this reality. So if you're hitting, blocks or limitations, or you feel like you need to get a little bit more serious, a little bit more mature about things, this is just actually to give you more freedom and more self-awareness to build. In Saturn and Pisces, this is all about the spiritual journey. It seems like everyone is kind of going through a spiritual awakening right now because just the veils are being lifted, when it comes to our government and society, the way we thought society was. I mean, it's like the more I get to know about the corruption of the government, it's like, whoa, like it's basically like a mafia, It's not like the true and we're the good guys and all of that, it kind of does run very undercover, and it is way more like a mafia, love America and everything, but there is this underlying corruption underlying all governments, I think, for the most part, that is definitely we're becoming more and more aware of. But that's good because Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto in Capricorn, the more that we are aware of it, the more we can recognize the ways that we can build stronger structures that are working for us, versus like just giving our money away to continue on, with the corruption that will, crumble eventually. And it's just not serving anybody. So this is where we can really just kind of awaken to more of our, we're aligning with a life that is being built from our spiritual self and our higher self. So we can kind of be more aligned in that soulfully fulfilling way versus matrix alignment, where you think you need all this money and you need all the cars or all the houses. Those are going to make you happy. And that's why I love like seeing Leo Skepi going through his journey right now, because he did, he's kind of moving really fast with it and everything, but he did move to Miami to just kind of party and hang out and live in the fancy tower. And he realized like that actually doesn't truly bring him happiness. The way he was living his life, it actually did bring a lot of limitations and just misalignment. There's a way that we can all kind of let go of things and realize where we weren't, aligned with living a life that is truly soulfully fulfilling to us, and just let go of the things that weren't, leading us in that direction. Because Pisces is all about kind of surrender, going along with the flow, kind of, surrendering to the bigger plan and having more faith and trust in the universe instead of just our own expectations of reality, of mostly what we've been programmed with. Because actually, if we have too many expectations like that, we usually we're usually creating a life that is not like soulfully fulfilling for us. Because every single time I've manifested, it's like, okay, here it is, like, go along. Here's this person, here's this project, here's this idea. The whole reason why I ended up doing True Sky Astrology is because I was manifesting, I am the best at what I do. I am the best at what I do. I am the best at what I do. And it kind of just nudged me in this certain direction. And those nudges can happen by excitement, by pure anger, like with, the current systems that are going on right now. I started getting really, really frustrated with the tropical system. Like it just felt really out of alignment. And yeah, you can feel that through anxiety, through, just like I started feeling a little bit more anxious because you feel a false system in your body and it doesn't feel in alignment with you because it doesn't make you happy. You feel anxiety. You feel like things are moving too fast. You feel, out of alignment. Alignment basically means following your happiness and continuing to do that until you just feel like you're kind of cruising along and you're living more life in a way that is more wu wei. And just letting the magic happen on a daily basis and allowing the surprises to just come up. It's kind of like life turns into one big spiritual journey where you're excited to see the signs and the synchronicities and the opportunities, and you're just having more trust and faith in the universe and where you're flowing along to versus being too rigid. Like this is where we're releasing a lot of rigidity. So we can kind of go into this like bigger soulful awakening. And I think we'll be awakening, I mean, as long as we're on earth, because there is so much more to know. There is so many more dimensions to know. So if you're getting sick of this, when will it end? Like you feel like you can't get control of anything, we're not going back. We're not going back. We're just awakening more and more to what this reality is versus being kind of cut off in the 3D reality. This is where it's going to be more powerful to listen to your intuition and not just the five senses. So this is where we want to be higher consciousness versus lower consciousness. And we say this all the time in the spiritual community, but I'm going to describe what that exactly means. Because higher consciousness is realizing that, our imagination and our intuition, those are actually quantum manifestation tools. Our imagination is, literally just the plane above this reality where all thoughts exist. It is kind of like less connected to time. It's connected to all different versions of you living all different kinds of realities, and you really just being able to choose what reality you want to manifest, because that is a reality that already exists. But when you get those inspirations and that intuition and you're just visualizing it, that is a reality that exists. You just have to choose it and realize and start heading towards that reality. And you do that, with consistency, which is really powerful with Saturn. We can be very consistent with our spiritual endeavors. So low consciousness is reacting to the external reality because we blame everything on this external reality. We can blame this person, this thing, like our circumstance, whatever. And it's allowing ourselves to actually be unconscious and reacting and complaining versus realizing that everything in our reality right now is a result of our, consciousness, and it's all about becoming aware of that and becoming more conscious with where you're directing your time and your energy and your thoughts every single day. So you become more of a conscious creator. Because when you just react and you complain and you kind of focus too much on the external reality, that's when you just actually create a continuous cycle of negative manifestation. It's emotional react and like just negative feedback loops of emotionally reacting, fear, anger, triggers. That's allowing yourself to stay in the reptilian brain where you're not really critically thinking and you're not realizing your creative ability to create something different. Whereas when you realize that and you just become aware, which is 50% of the work, you allow yourself to tap into that imagination and that intuition to create something different and to exit that loop that you've been creating. It's making decisions based on fear or instinct. It's reacting to the world and I can't do this because the news says the economy sucks or whatever. Like the news says everything's going to hell, like always, every single day. I'm sorry. Stop. Don't look at the news because it's completely pointless and it just leads to entropy consciousness. I've been spending a lot of time with family. So it's like, and that's also another reason why I'm like, the sun is in Scorpio, Mars is in Scorpio, because that's my fourth house. And every single time I try to like kind of focus on work again or focus on what I'm so ready to jump out and create already, it's just like I get sucked back into this, like, you got to deal with family. And family's like coming into town next week, but I'm excited for that. It's my sister, but still like I'm excited to kind of like jet fuel off on like, this knowing that I've really come to with, the true sky astrology and everything. But anyway, let's get back to it. Okay. So only thinking in terms of your five senses is low consciousness. So that's like, your five senses, not realizing that you have way more senses. It's not using your imagination and willpower, because when you're reacting so much to the outside world, you're giving your power away and you're not recognizing your own willpower to create and just direct your time, energy, and attention to more of what you want to create, and realizing that your imagination does get you out of the current circumstances, because you are connecting to your higher self. You are connecting to the other realities that you can create. It's just time to take that seriously versus the reality seriously. Stay delulu. Stuck in ego, it's where low consciousness is very stuck in ego. It's like the past, the future, thinking you know everything already, because we will never know everything in this reality. We are at the lowest level of reality, 3D reality. Where we get to that true intelligence is the higher planes, like the fifth dimension, sixth dimension, up and up and up, all the way to 12, I think, or 13. I don't, I'll let you know when I get there. Probably not. I've had taste of like 5D and everything, so that's why I have this knowing. But the knowing of the other dimensions. But yeah. So just really holding on too rigidly of thinking you know everything, and holding on too tightly to the programming with what you've been taught in school, that kind of reality, real like materialistic science-based reality or materialistic religion, not ready to, not letting yourself expand and to explore with your higher mind, because that's what the higher mind wants to do. It just wants to expand and explore and be curious and kind of learn more. We can learn for the rest of our lives. We will never know everything. So yeah, being stuck in the ego and only believing in what you currently know, being reactive, feeling like you need to defend your current reality, because that's the thing too. Like once you can understand both sides, there's this higher awareness that you get to, and that's more so Jupiter and Gemini. And I'll talk about that because that is very higher mind, lower mind also. But I'm so hard-headed, like I get so stuck on one way of thinking sometimes. So this has been a practice, even with switching the systems and stuff. I'm like, I kept on getting the message, like, be diplomatic, wait until you can be diplomatic. Let's like wait and wait and wait. And then I kindly, and then once you just wait, even if you find this new exciting way of seeing the world, you come to this higher awareness with being able to, see both sides, because it's never bad, like the, ways that we used to view things. It actually does like expand our consciousness. So, being able to see the left and the right and the light and the dark and the good and the bad, and like it just leads to this like higher awareness. Okay, so when you are holding on to attachments, this is very low consciousness, because attachments are really just fears, wearing a friendly mask. It's really where we're hanging on to things. It's because we're actually afraid. And we can be attached to beliefs, objects, property, your self-image, the past. We can, anywhere you're really attached and not surrendering, like living in, that higher consciousness, Christ consciousness. It is all about actually being able to surrender everything until you kind of get to this like higher awareness. Seeking the validation outside of the self, when you always need to be going internally to get aligned with your highest path. And that's a way. I don't know if we've been programmed to do that too. Because if you see kids, they really are just running around and they just kind of like are in touch with their inner selves and everything. And yeah, you just need to look within to really get your own validation and your own knowing, to live in higher consciousness. So higher consciousness, this is where we fully step into creator mode. This is where we observe reality. We become the ultimate observer. We're not letting our minds, thoughts, we kind of let them like pass by, but we don't need to grip onto anything until we just grip onto the highest thing. It's being able to really choose your thoughts and choose the way you react and choose just staying open. There's so much more to know there. This is where you just allow yourself to expand, and you're not letting yourself dwell on all the negative things going on externally. There's a reason why everything is negative externally. It's just so you don't actually go inward and realize like your own power. The mind is mastered. That is the most important thing. Your mind is mastered when you're living in higher consciousness. It's realizing that everything inside of you is force, creativity, willpower. Everything external is form. So as long as you're you can be disappointed with the external and stuff, but then you get to tap into creator mode and realize where you can change your own force and your own willpower to create. It's realizing that there's no point in complaining about what has already materialized. Just recognize your ability to change internally. And it can be with your attitude, your mindset, learning something new, your perception, just changing your action to change. And that is what changes your action to change your reality. The mind is a powerhouse. They say, like in manifestation books, they say all is mind. All is really mind. The things that are in the material reality are just the slow and steady manifestations that have come through because of our current state of mind. The mind is a powerhouse. The mind is the cause of all things. And when we become a master of our mind, we get control of our worlds. If we let our mind, lean into distraction and, all of that, that's when our life becomes like chaotic. It's becoming very, very, very self-aware, because we can get lost in like daydreaming or negative thinking. That was a habit that I really had to break, was just constant negative thinking. I don't know if it's because I grew up as an emo kid, listening to Linkin Park and just like tough circumstances and everything. But the ability I was stubborn with thinking negatively, actually. So the more that you get stubborn with becoming more self-aware, with thinking the thoughts that are going to help you out, and more positively, really more creatively, the more that you can be in touch with your higher self. Because we can get stuck in the future or the past or negative thoughts or worrying, and this is where the more self-awareness that we have, and we got to be consistent with it. This is actually, it sounds simple, but this is stuff you have to really work towards, because it takes work after living a certain way your entire life. And then realizing all it takes is self-awareness. All it takes is control of your mind. And any way that you can do that, is the way you got to be doing it, because that will lead to you being able to manifest anything you really want, and it's really that simple. You just need that self-awareness. Releasing the ego is higher consciousness, all the ways we will forever be kind of releasing the lower ego to align with our higher self, but we will never fully get rid of the ego. And what I actually did to kind of break the cycle of negative thinking, I got obsessed about manifesting. So I used the app called Parrot. And, for the things that I really wanted, I would just let it go on, till it was really stuck in my head, whatever affirmation. And then I would just kind of repeat it in my mind all day, because I don't think you can really just listen to it all the time. Turning it on so you get your mind directed in the, towards that. And then you just notice yourself that's going on in your subconscious. You're going about your day, you're doing your things, and you're still just in your subconscious, like doing your affirmations for your manifestations, and then they come really quickly. So, I mean, I don't know. I have, Pluto in my third house with my higher self. So getting control of my mind and being obsessive with these things are powerful, for me. But if you feel called to do that, like you can become a fast, like manifester. So robotically affirm throughout the day, or at least 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. And there are times where I need to take a break from it, because it's just like, yeah, you got to just flow with life, surrender. You can't constantly like force this spiritual path and direction, because that is coming from the ego too. Sometimes you have to release to let the universe like show you the best direction. So it's a balance overall. But yeah, becoming self-aware, that's all a part of becoming self-aware. So higher consciousness is also unity consciousness. It's thinking, feeling, and acting in one force. It's unified. How you think, how you feel, how you act is all in alignment. It's not like, getting stuck on the couch and scrolling, but you're hungry and you just kind of ignore it, So it's like letting your thinking, feeling, acting all be in synchronicity, to go towards like whatever you want to create, and becoming more aware of that. Recognizing that fear kills creative forces in your mind. So anytime, because fear is an illusion, there's so many ways we're just, programmed to be fearful. But every single time we can kind of just get our minds back focused on the creativity, because there's so many what ifs like that we can have about everything, that we can get lost in, or it can stop us from manifesting. And this has happened to me so many times, like, it's just realizing that fear is an illusion. And the more that you can get in touch with your higher self, which is speaking always in inspiration, creativity, look at the vibrational scale, hope, optimism, expansion, then that's like your real true self. That is your higher self. So realizing where you can transmute fears into the opposite, because whenever there is a fear, there is an opposite of that fear. So it's all about like seeing how you can do that. And at this higher level, it's kind of realizing you won't die. So it depends how many spiritual awakenings you've gone through, but like if you've really broken through like the eighth sphere and into the higher dimensions, then there's more of this knowing that comes with all of that, and that this reality, this 3D reality, is really just a mirror of the true reality. But that takes a little bit to get to, but that is the truth. Our true, like, perfect bodies are, more energetic, and they are, we are spiritual beings, just having a physical experience. And yeah, when you really listen to yourself and, you come to that inner knowing, it's not letting yourself be defined in the ego ways, which can be by, where you live, your house, your job, your relationship, the stuff you have, realizing that that is just the ego, that is just the physical stuff. You are so much more than that. And when you allow yourself to realize that, you actually have more of your free will unlocked, becoming the ultimate observer of your mind's thoughts and emotions, having the ultimate self-control, and realizing your dreams and imaginations are like just quantum manifestation tools to really manifest your highest reality. It's just having the faith to allow yourself to continuously step into that higher consciousness to be the ultimate creator in your life. So the Pisces area is a very important area in the upcoming, like, next year, because Saturn and Neptune are going to fully conjunct in February. And that's where we're really starting a new beginning. So this is where a lot of action is going on, where we've really probably, had a lot of illusions lifted. We've probably let stuff go. Things might be a little kind of all over the place and chaotic, but just know we're going on a spiritual adventure. So we can really start something new in Saturn and Neptune conjunct. And it's going to be building a life that is more in alignment with our higher selves. And, or at least getting that internal deep understanding of who we truly are. So we get in touch with our own, just the core of all of us. So we realize that can never really be taken away. Okay, so yeah, and by the way, this is Tiamat. So there might be, she is the primordial mother. She is the primordial dragon mother. More so towards Aries in the head. This is where new creations begin. And back, I guess we're on the tail over here. This is her husband, Apsu. You know what Tiamat and Apsu remind me of? I didn't know about that night fish or whatever that has the thing hanging that is in the dark. And it's so funny. That thing has like come up twice from the depths in the past year. Like it happened like twice. But they have Tiamat and Apsu, her husband, have a very similar relationship to that night fish, because the night fish is massive and she has the light hanging down and she just kind of swims around in the dark. And then the male is actually very, very tiny. And, his job is just to find a female, and then he attaches to her, and then he pretty much just becomes like absorbed into her. And then he's basically like just a sperm bank for whenever she wants to have babies, and then they're one. So it's very interesting. Tiamat and Apsu, they were the first masculine and feminine energies. I'll go into their mythology later, because mythologies are actually very important for our awakening, because mythologies and even looking at the sky, it does make you remember, more of what's in our subconscious and more from past lifetimes and more of those just primordial energies that came here a long, long time ago. Tiamat was the very beginning. So the primordial mother at the very beginning. Okay, so let's get into Jupiter. Let's see. Here it is, Jupiter. At the end of the twins. Oh, wait, let's get back into real time. Here we are, Jupiter at the very end of Gemini. And for sidereal, it is in, it did go to 0 degrees Cancer. True sky, it's still in Gemini. Tropical, it is in Cancer. So, and I've noticed this Jupiter in Cancer, obviously, and for this year, it feels like I've spent so much more time with family than I have in, years. So, that is still a real thing, but we're getting in touch with our higher selves right now so we can really manifest. Because it's kind of like, when Jupiter was in Gemini, with tropical, I did, I did make a lot of friends, but I feel like with Jupiter and Gemini now, I'm making a lot more soulfully aligned friends, because because Gemini energy is all about, those close friendships where family, friends can turn into family, those really close soul connections. It is about divine connections too. So there can be a boost of twin flames going on right now. If you need help with that journey, I know all about it. So you can, message me. I know that is the awakening journey. That is why I'm so weird right now, because that journey will wake you up to the 5D for the feminine. Also, Uranus is right on my Mercury, and my Mercury is right on the Pleiades. So that's also why I'm going through this like major awakening, also with the trine to Pluto. So I'm like, can I, I keep on being like, can I just like stop getting weirder and weirder? But it's like, no, this is the path. This is the journey. Okay. So Jupiter is the twins. This is the light and the dark. This is, in all the mythologies, they were brothers. It was Gilgamesh and Enkidu, Castor and Pollux, but basically it is one brother who is a little bit more animalistic, who is a little bit more primal. It seems like he's kind of acting more so from his lower chakras. Like there's a Sumerian tablet where one literally, I'm not going to say it. Yeah, one is very, very primal and very sexual and very focused on the material things. And then the other one is a little bit more higher minded. So there's this kind of theme with Gemini, with being able to see both sides, the lightest of the light and the darkest of the dark, and going through this spiritual journey to really unite both sides. Because when you can unite both sides, that's when you're really integrating your shadow. So there can be definitely like kind of a journey that we're all kind of going on right now, where we're connecting to the divine mind, the higher mind, and then the lower mind. But all of the stories with the twins, it is really two parts of the same soul. It's kind of like the same coin, but opposites, because we are in this reality of duality. But the more that we can recognize both sides, the more we kind of get this unity, and we can get more in touch with our higher selves in the higher realms, higher perspectives, more in touch with who we truly are, more integrated fully with who we truly are. So yeah, there can be aspects of going back and forth of heaven and hell. One will always teach the other. So there are lessons to be learned from, both perspectives. If you're trying to be stuck with one ideology, like don't, like you need to see the other side of things and like see a way that you can unite the polarities, because this is where you will find the most expansion. But I think it is very easy to have, higher perspectives with I think this is just a natural process where we're able to see things in a multi-layered way, in a multi-dimensional way even. I think we can all easily be in touch with, just channeling more of our higher selves and the higher mind and those higher ideas, because Jupiter just expands the mind. So, but it's very important also at the same time to be very conscious of where you're putting your focus, because your thoughts create worlds, your words create worlds. They are literally spells, and you want to be focused on the higher ways of manifesting and not go on a little dark journey or whatever. Elon Musk has a lot of Gemini, and it does seem like he is in touch with the light and in touch with the dark. And it seems like he really does go back and forth. And, this energy, it is like we can easily get manipulated in that way too, if we are completely stuck on one side. So again, it is important to kind of see both sides, to come into your own internal awareness, to expand. The mirror always unites. So anytime that you can look at the mirror and maybe you look at a trigger or they just seem so other to you, this is something you can actually explore to bring more unity to yourself. And they don't talk about this in regular, astrology, but their Gemini energy is very sensitive. They're very family oriented because they are the protectors, actually. They were the guardians of the underworld. And so being very protective, being a little bit more family oriented, just real those strong soul connections are very, very important right now. So you could feel very drawn towards them, but you're also just going to find the most expansion with those strong soul connections. And I will shout out for like Starseed fam or 144 fam. There is a reason why we're dotted so far from each other. So you feel like such a black sheep, like when you're growing up and everything. And when you don't get in touch with each other online and then realize you're not so weird, like a complete alien, living here. But yeah, getting in touch with soul fam, star fam, 144 fam is, very nice right now. So, Gemini energy is very empathic. Gemini really does feel everything, for the other. They are the ones that are the most empathic because they can see the other side so easily. There's also a major healer and warrior archetype here because they are healers because they can be so empathic and see the other side. And yeah, they're just protectors, massive protectors of their friends, and whoever they consider family. So the most powerful thing with Jupiter and Gemini is just seeing both sides of something, because that will cause, more expansion and more awareness versus like just staying ignorant on one side. And at the same time, focus, putting your time and your energy and your thoughts, aligning. I like how Jupiter's trining Saturn, because this is where we can have like mind, heart, soul coherence and get it all in alignment, just in a very easy way. And yeah, your attention creates worlds, your thoughts, and the way you speak to yourself and others, it does affect reality. So let's get into all the signs. Okay, so Pisces, Saturn and Neptune are in your first house. So this is the ultimate self-discovery. This is really aligning, yourself, how you represent yourself in the world. The first house is like yourself, your body, how you externalize yourself, and how can maybe you align that with that highest version of yourself. You can be very creative with your self-expression, really dissolving and letting go of any ways that you really held yourself back from letting yourself fully be you and being the person that you want to be out in the world, because the first house is so powerful. I mean, you can change your whole reality by, really working, how your first house. And this is like your lens. This is how you see things. This is you really have to believe that you're worthy of it and that you are that person. So you can have whatever reality that you really want to create. But yeah, when Saturn and Neptune conjunct in your first sign, this is like a whole new beginning of allowing yourself to be that highest version of yourself and letting yourself go through this kind of spiritual evolution at the same time. It's important at the same time to just surrender to your higher self and not hold on to too much control. With jobs, identities, ego things like, relationships, you're just getting in touch with yourself at that deeper level to really build that life that is going to be truly meaningful to you. And with the trining to Jupiter in your fourth house, who is your family? And it might be soul family, or your friends' family. They can really be your foundation right now. Finding souls that resonate with you can really, ground you. If it feels like you can definitely expand your home, expand your family if you want to have your own family. If you want to discover different places to live, maybe you've lived here for a little bit, but you're going to move here for a little bit. You're going to be very lucky with, maybe, moving around or seeing where you really want to live. You can get a great deal on a house or, moving to where you really want to live. It looks like opportunities can really just come your way that are very supportive to your spiritual growth and evolution and who you're really becoming. This is the ultimate becoming. And, it's really just important to be in tune with who you are. Also, I feel like there can be a lot of release with the past and your foundation and, family life and upbringing and being able to see maybe multiple perspectives of, different sides of family members, stories, or just a new perspective when it comes to home and family. And, this can really free you at the same time of past family stories that maybe kept you limited. So you can resonate more so with what does home and family really look like to you? What makes you feel the most empowered? So you can really start, aligning with that. Temple of Truth, throat chakra, authenticity, self-expression. Yep, this is what you're really stepping into. Your words are powerful. Your words can create realities right now. This is like the ultimate manifestation transit with Neptune in your first, but you really have to direct your time and your energy and get a little serious with what you're creating right now. Third chakra, yeah, you're just getting very empowered in a whole new way. And it's about the self. It's about like your direction, your identity. Who are you? Who are you becoming? What do you want? What do you desire? And kind of going towards those things. There might be some sort of attachments going on. So realize like where you're just holding on to any attachments. And this could be physical stuff, roles, identities, the things that we just hang on to just to feel safe. It could be certain relationships, even that you have outgrown, and allowing yourself to outgrow whoever you feel like you have to put on a mask around. Whenever you feel like you're just putting on a mask, it's time to release that, so you can get empowered in yourself in a whole new way. And I like Leo Skepi, how he talked about this in one of his recent episodes, because he realized like all the stuff that he was buying and wearing, it was just another way that he could feel, it was a false way of getting for people seeing the value in him versus seeing the real him. When you walk around with a bunch of like blingy shit and like you're all fancy, like it's nice and everything, but it doesn't really truly make you recognize the value of who you truly are. So you can, watch that actually to kind of see his like journey that he's going on. I wonder what his chart is. I should actually look it up. So you think the solution to your inner problems is in the world outside, but nobody has ever truly become okay by changing things outside. There's always the next problem. Yeah. So you're getting internally aligned in the most externalized house. So it can be confusing. But the more you get internally aligned and you're creating that peace within yourself, the more it's easy to create that externally. Okay, Pisces, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Aries. Okay, so this is happening in your 12th house, which is powerful access to your higher self. And you kind of need to take your higher self seriously. Your dreams are going to be vivid, your imagination, too many. Your dreams, your imagination, they could be all very, very vivid, like you getting in touch with past lifetimes, different realities that you can possibly live. You're definitely going on a spiritual journey. The 12th house is also where you allow yourself to kind of go on a spiritual journey. And this could be like with, so many cards want to pop out for you, by the way. This could be like going on, to Bali or something, or some sort of adventure like that. Or it could just be you needing a little bit more downtime, and, like the Hermit card, like needing to really pay attention what's going on inside of you. So you kind of see the different ways that you can align with that highest version of yourself. And with the trine to Jupiter in your third house, your voice is very powerful. Your everyday life. The third house is your everyday life. Your thoughts, your actions, are they aligned with that ultimate vision that you're truly imagining when it comes to your life? There can be so many different ways that you can structure things in your everyday life, or, just major ideas and downloads that come through that have to do with writing projects or creativity or monetizing your skills and your talents. And yeah, it's just important to stay like really open to that, to see where you can find that ultimate expansion. Maybe there's two ways of seeing things, different people that you want to hang out with. There can be a lot of expansion with siblings too. You being able to get along more with your siblings, and just seeing new perspectives and getting expansion from them. Okay, so, but yeah, definitely it's all about paying attention to your internal world so you can become the ultimate manifester in your everyday life. The third house is a powerful house. It's like, what are you doing on a daily basis? And with Jupiter there, it's expanding everything. So it's like really honing in your energy towards like the things that you do want versus, just the things that are out of alignment. Okay, so throat chakra, realize that your throat is very powerful right now. The third house rules like speaking, writing, speaking, thinking, all of that. So yeah, you have something to say. If you're writing, you could easily write a book or a blog or, talk online or go speak out in public. And you do have something to say that definitely needs to be heard. At the same time, don't be too stubborn with certain things. There's adjacent possibilities, and the more that you can maybe see the different possibilities, the more freedom that you will actually have. Maybe this is a different way to structure your business or to do things on social media. And the more that you can just be playful and, the more you can align with your higher self to go in the right direction and garden in the gate. There's ways that you might have been blocking yourself off always that was stopping you from easily going after like the true abundance in the easiest way, in the way where you have the most freedom in everything. So it's all about maybe letting yourself go through this deprogramming process so you can really set yourself free. Because the 12th house is also like where we get caught up in self-undoing. And there's so many ways that we do this, but it's just becoming aware of that. And it could just be that little voice in the back of your head that's negatively talking or saying like, you can't do this, you're capped off here, you're capped off there. And it's all about like becoming aware of those things and releasing that so you can have the, freedom, abundance, money, love, whatever. And you're unblocking yourself from those things. Yeah, this Saturn and Neptune in the 12th house is the ultimate releasing illusions of the self, but also, where you were not where your perception just wasn't widened. Realize the outside world and the flow of inner emotions come and go, but you, the one who experiences these things, remains consciously aware of whatever passes before you. Yeah, so this is a time to realize that you are the observer of your reality and you just get to choose what thoughts wherever you want to focus, because you can focus on the good, you can focus on the bad, and you're either way, you're putting energy into what you want to create. So focus on the good and what you want, and you get to create that versus reacting. Instead of being in reactor mode, we got to be in creator mode. Akashic came out twice for you. So I think you can definitely be in touch with the higher field or whatever the field is. You can become a Akashic reader actually very easily with this transit. So Akashic records, clearing old stories, releasing past lives, freedom. You're clearing out your Akashic that was keeping you limited from your previous past lives. That makes so much sense. Akashic Stargate, aligned with purpose, crossroads, no wrong path. Yeah, you're waking up to your own multidimensionality. And the more that you can kind of dream and wonder, and instead of leaning into fear or doubts, you're really expanding more and more into a bigger purpose and just a bigger awareness. Don't get stuck to dwelling on the past too much. Realize whatever comes up from the past, you're just getting more awareness around and, releasing. But yeah, it's like baby vision, even bigger vision, and bigger vision. And then biggest vision is kind of what you're getting aligned with right now. All right, Aries, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Taurus. So this is happening in your 11th house. So this is where you previously dreamed big before, and now you're dreaming even bigger, and you're releasing all the illusions that stopped you from, dreaming in the biggest way possible. And just This is kind of like definitely connecting to your multidimensionality, because the 11th house is like kind of the house for channelers. And it's definitely important to let the door to spirit come through, because this came out reversed. So it's like important to listen to those higher messages from your higher self, spirit guides, whatever, soul family, really come in, because I think this can break you through a lot of illusions that were maybe keeping you limited. And this is definitely where you're aligning with soul family. So this is like, soul connections that are very, very strong, and they can be friendships. But also at the same time, a friend can become a little bit more serious, especially since Saturn is there. But you're going to be definitely paying attention to your vibration and who's kind of just in coherence with you versus like who, has fit with you in the past. And yeah, with the trine to Jupiter in your second house, there's can be different ways to make money. I definitely recommend for Tauruses to really look at all the ways that you can make money. And it's kind of like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. All the different income streams that you can possibly have to make that ultimate abundance. And maybe you feel inspired to really monetize some of your skills or talents. But yeah, this can be you really downloading like really exciting ways to make money. Maybe you discover something online. Maybe you meet a friend that does something that you want to do. But yeah, let your curiosity really expand you and be very open-minded to all the ways that abundance can really flow into your life. And you're also getting a boost with your value and self-worth. So you can definitely be getting paid more. If you need to ask for a raise, this can be a time where you go back and ask for a raise, but you recognizing your value and your worth is going to give you more money, because you'll go to a place where you're really, really valued when you recognize your own value. And look, door to value definitely came out, money coming in. As long as you're really taking your dream and vision, seriously, then yeah, just unlimited money, way more money than you thought can definitely come in. And the 11th house is the house of career gains too. So it's kind of like this is where you can start a project, or maybe all the work that you've done so far at work, then money just really starts pouring in. Something, just really valuable can really come into your life. Angel of Strength, this is kind of like the creative card. So maybe there's a way that you've wanted to create that is more in alignment with your heart, and maybe showing like your vulnerability out in the world. I don't know. The Strength card always reminds me of like being emotionally open and honest with like what's truly in your heart to get aligned with the right things. But it's definitely important to let yourself go on a spiritual adventure. With Saturn and Neptune in the 12th house, it's like going just like meeting people here, maybe taking that random trip, maybe working with these people, really seeing what the world brings to you that can kind of break you out of the box. Because the 11th house is where we definitely, break out of the box. We explore different ways of living. Sometimes we move, sometimes we do something so random, but it's like, soulfully aligned and it kind of fits. So you are a great being who has been given a tremendous opportunity to explore beyond yourself. Yeah, this is all about exploring and expanding even bigger than, to what you are. So kind of, be open. Temple of Truth, throat chakra, authenticity, self-expression. The second house does rule the throat. So I think you can definitely make money with what you have to say. And, it doesn't have to be with like speaking, but it can be through writing or blogging or, posting online or making a movie or something like that. But know that the more that you align with your truth, and whatever you want to say out, whatever you think is important to say out in the world to make the world a better place that is more aligned with your vision, It can be very powerful, and you just expressing yourself can be very, very powerful also. All right, Taurus, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Gemini. Or I did want to say also for Taurus, realize how powerful authenticity is. Um, just who you authentically are, really embracing that and speaking that out into the world. Okay, so for Gemini, this is your 10th house. So this is your career, this is your legacy, this is who you are out in the world and what you're known for. And realize you can be very, very creative with reworking who you are out in the world so you can, align with who you truly are on the inside, So this is kind of like going internal and dreaming really, really big so you can live a life that is in alignment with this bigger soulful destiny and mission. Because it's like what you're supposed to be doing for work and what you're known for is definitely going to be something that is soulfully aligned with you. And it's time for you to take it seriously. It would be the transit where there would be more chaos at work, or if you're trying to stay in a job or, a way of being out in the world that isn't really who you're supposed to be, you would have more chaos, you would have more difficulty. But the trine is helpful. It's like you're super lucky right now with Jupiter in your first house. You're very, very lucky to receive opportunities, to receive opportunities to come your way, people to come your way. Just you being very, very lucky and very, very expansive. So if there's stuff that's just not working out, it's important to just like let those things go. Maybe surrendering, to the universe when it comes to the bigger picture in your career and listening to your higher self is actually going to serve you well. So be woo-woo, dream big. What do you really want to do? Where do you feel like you're really being called? Because there can just be, opportunities that come your way that fit and they're just right for you. This is also where you can really step into true embodiment with Jupiter in your first house. You believing that you are worthy of living that life, because we attract who we are. So can be a lot of reworking with beliefs. So you are that highest version of yourself, and you believe that you're worthy of that job, that relationship, living in that place. And the more that you just believe it, the more then the magic can actually literally just happen out in the world. So it's important to just believe in you and then step into that identity and that way of being so you can receive all the opportunities that are really meant for you. You are the ultimate creator of your reality, and it's time to just have fun with it. Okay, so Emerald Tablet activation, cosmic ordering, divine alchemy, conscious manifesting. Yeah, you are a very, very, very powerful manifester right now. So it's definitely time to really get your time, your energy, and your focus on creating the reality that you want to create, because you, I think, out of all the signs, have the most luck and flexibility and freedom to kind of create what you want to create. So get serious about what you want to manifest. Halls of learning, spirit guides, confirmation, great lessons. Yeah, it's time to open up to your higher self. Seventh chakra, you're kind of getting aligned with jobs and opportunities and ways of being out in the world. So that is going to be helpful for the collective. That's why art is so powerful too, because it does help the collective in ways that we don't even know, because what art communicates is something that is like beyond the physical. It does have to deal with like emotions and soulful expression and concepts that aren't really necessarily here yet. So know where you're being called with this higher unity perspective that's really coming in for you. And your spirit guides are kind of guiding you. There might be lessons along the way, because when Saturn's in the 10th, sometimes it's tough. But wherever you're hitting those blocks and those frustrations or the limitations, that's just an opportunity for you to have more awareness of your own power, in the ways that you can create, and direct your energy more towards that. So when you feel pain, simply view it as energy. Let go and give room for the pain to pass through you. Yeah. Okay, Gemini, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Cancer. Okay, so this is happening in your ninth house, which is the Dharma house. So this is where you can live on your higher timeline without the karma and everything. And you can get aligned with a vision that is from your higher self, with living a life that is more meaningful and purposeful to you. So it's time to take them, you might feel called to go on an adventure, to travel, to study something that is higher minded, to go on a spiritual journey, anything that can kind of change your view of the world, is something that you can take seriously to find a lot of expansion and then to just be in alignment with that vision. And with Jupiter in the 12th, yeah, you could be getting very vivid dreams. You could have a vivid imagination. It's really, expanding that, just the information that you're getting from your higher self. So definitely pay attention to your dreams. They definitely have messages that's like you just getting more in touch with you. And there's also dream work that you can do with realizing, like, say you're being chased by somebody. I guess you have some sort of unconscious fear, maybe that you can become aware of, so you can release yourself of those fears. Because the 12th house is where we can self-sabotage or limit ourselves. And it all just comes from a place of not fully being aware of who we truly are at that higher level, with your higher self. So realize your opportunity to release any fears or any ways that you held yourself back. And it could have been just from dwelling on the past for too long. But recognize, your ability to receive those higher messages so you can create from that higher perspective. And then, just create a very fulfilling life that is really meant for you, because you're definitely supposed to be in alignment with living a life that is truly meaningful to you, and meaningful to your soul. So, I would definitely recommend, like, maybe there could be a whole new beginning if you go on a trip, or if you decide to go back to school or learn something new. I mean, school's a little outdated right now. So like, it's almost better to like learn stuff outside, like classic academics. We'll definitely be seeing that, play out over the next couple of years, like how like it has been a little bit limiting. But wherever you're really being called, whenever there's transits through the ninth house, it is, it is very, you just feel drawn towards it. It is something that is exciting to you or expansive to you, or it gives you that meaning and purpose. You could, there is some sort of vision that you're taking very seriously. And it's leading you in the right direction. Okay, so Goddess of the Moon came out. It's definitely time to listen to your intuition and your higher self. What is leading you towards happiness and expansion and that abundance? That's the direction you're really meant to be going in. Man holding a heart, and this could have to do with love. Oh yeah, because Saturn rules your seventh house. So this could be, especially when they conjunct, this could be like a new relationship coming in. That is very spiritual, that is like a divine connection from many past lifetimes and everything. And around February, it could be like the whole new beginning of that, or maybe you meet them around then. The purpose of spiritual evolution is to remove the blockages that cause you fear. So recognize, like, there is a lot of expansion that you can have externally with learning all these things and meeting a lot of people and seeing different ways to live life. But at the same time, you already contain everything inside of you. And the more that you go internal and release the blocks, and it's not like you have to sit down and release the blocks, really just the blocks come up as you're paying attention to your manifestations, whatever's like stopping you from manifesting, like is where you can recognize a fear or some sort of self-limitation. But yeah, lots of blockages being removed so you can be super expansive. Orion activation, supernova, recreation, renewal, rebirth by light. Yeah, there can be just a lot of, you're releasing a lot from the past and just what's not truly you. So you can just have this rebirth, especially when Jupiter moves into your first house. But it takes getting a little lost in the void and in the subconscious first before you can really externalize it. I am presence, light body activation, accessing the divine within. Yeah, you are majorly accessing the divine within, so you can find that light within and externalize it. All right, Cancer, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Leo. Okay, so this is happening in your 8th house, where the 8th house is really like, where do we dedicate our time and our energy, and making sure it's going in a direction that is more soulfully aligned, because the 8th house is where we kind of get in touch with that deeper aspect of ourselves, and we kind of release all the ways that we stopped ourselves from doing things because we were afraid of being judged or projected on, or we just like buried a part of ourselves that might be coming up right now. It might be getting really like resurrected right now. So, and it can happen like through triggers, through anger, through rage, like recognizing what wants to come alive in you again and dedicating your time and energy towards that. Be very careful with investing. I would say, just Neptune is illusion. Saturn, is getting refreshed right now, and spiritually aligned, but definitely going on a quest of really discovering yourself can be very, very powerful, especially, and also diving through the occult, which is just the mystical and the magical that is hidden from us in everyday life. But the more you become aware of it, the more powerful you are. I recommend Gigi Young's channel. She talks about the light and the dark, and everything is energy. Like everything is energy, and the people that run the world are they know this. They definitely know this. So you will find, once you develop this deeper knowing of everything, that yeah, like you can know even more so with where you're directing your time and energy. And you can be like, yeah, just more empowered to direct it in the right directions for you. So in the 8th house, it's also the place of deep soul connections. And, you could be definitely going on a spiritual journey in your relationships that could be challenging, but at the same time, it does just give you more self-awareness of who you truly are. And, there's always power in the mirror with recognizing the triggers externally. Triggers are always an invitation for you to recognize more of your own power. And Jupiter in Gemini, it wants to expand your world. It wants to expand your social networks and your friendship group, and bring you soulfully aligned connections and friendships, and an online community of like-minded people. And it is quality, not quantity necessarily. Like, I feel like when Jupiter was in the 11th with tropical, it was like lots of people, but who do I really, really value? And it's just like natural soul aligned connections can really come in and just fit and be kind of just on the same wavelength and be very expansive. This can also be a time where you're really figuring out how to show up out on, the 11th house is kind of like online. How can you show up online in a more authentic way? And you might just be called to kind of break out of the box in some way. The 11th house is where you might go hang out with a completely different group of people. You might travel. You might, I kind of think of the 11th house as like the midlife crisis house where you just do something completely different and random, but it feels exciting and it ends up expanding your whole world in some way. So look out for those, because that can be just a very expansive new thing. This can be you getting really aligned with your hopes and your dreams and your visions and what you can possibly create, when it comes to your hopes and dreams, and you deciding to really take them seriously. The eighth house is your business. So you really recognizing your time and your energy, and maybe you want to start something new, especially in February. That would be a really powerful time to like start a new business, a soulfully aligned business, obviously, because like Neptune, if you're doing something deceptive, don't do that. It has to be soulfully aligned and higher vibrational. If you're on this channel, I think that's what you're doing anyway. But yeah, okay. So fourth chakra, you're getting aligned with your heart. When we do the deep eighth house work, we recognize our fears, our own shadows, more of who we are. We go through shadow integration. We become more powerful. We become more magnetic, and it allows us to open up our hearts. Especially if you're going through a journey with a divine counterpart, or like a karmic soul contract, or a twin flame, or whatever. It does open up your heart at the end of the day. It's not the easiest journey. And you might be be careful of deceit. The eighth house is like our money, our resources, where we're investing our time and our energy, and we could get deceived. At the end of the day, this is like just where we're going to become more aware, like more self-aware of where we're supposed to be putting our time and our energy. So never take a deceit as a bad thing. This is just more like just a big push by the universe sometimes, where it's like, okay, you got the clarity with this now. Now it's time to go in a better direction that's going to really be fulfilling to your heart and your soul. That is the direction. So when a blockage gets hit, is a good thing. It's time to open up internally and release the blocked energy. We're majorly releasing blockages in our energy with this. And yeah, it's just like shedding all the skins that were internal that we didn't know we had, until we run into those blocks. And then you're like, oh, okay, like time to release that, fear, that all fears are illusions. Time to release that skin that's not actually us, so we can really be more of who we truly are. Energy work is definitely powerful during this time. If you want to do somatics, very powerful, because trauma is in the body too. And the more that we can release ourselves from the trauma that's in the body, that keeps us moving in certain ways in the matrix, in the physical reality, the more we set ourselves free, the more we can, really build up this strong internal trust as our foundation. The eighth house is like where we're awakening our primal life force energy. And, we can really listen to those strong instincts, that come in strong intuition or strong emotions, and it guides us where we're really supposed to go. But it's letting yourself come alive to like how much more you are every single time a block kind of gets released. Angelic frequency, know that you are protected around this time. You are safe. So like there can be random moments where you just feel like, the strong blocks, like it could be a really strong fear or anxiety or something like that comes up. But know that you are safe. Your connection to the divine is just being ultra heightened right now. Octurian light codes, evolutionary downloads, recalling power, future thinking. I just got like a wave of energy when I said that too. So maybe some of you guys are really getting cleared enough to really receive those higher messages from higher planes. And I was just thinking about this, like my Mercury is right on the Pleiades. So it's like, obviously I can channel too, and I should probably take that more seriously, especially with Uranus right on it right now. But yeah, that's where the higher information can come from. That can really help evolve us all into different ways of thinking instead of being stuck in these old ways of thinking. And that would definitely help you release the certain eighth house things. And yeah, be a ultimate powerhouse. And maybe some of you are Octurians too. I'm Palladian Lyran. Hi. Wait, I want to do weird hands thing. Okay. All right, Leo, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Virgo. Okay, so this is happening in your seventh house. So there can be very, very strong soul connections that enter your life. This could be divine counterparts, twin flames, karmic. You go up the ladder until you reach those really strong soul connections that are meant to stay in your life. So there can be lessons, you got to definitely recognize your relationships as a very powerful mirror. Just so you have more self-awareness with who you truly are. Because anything that's being projected at you is something that you can discover more of your own power with, and you can just find, more of the core of who you truly are. And this could be, romantic relationships. It could be family, business, friendships, any strong relationship. There can definitely be strong connections that help you go through this kind of spiritual evolution, and they, guide you into more of who you truly are. Soul connections at the same frequency that kind of make you more alive and make you recognize more of yourself. And Jupiter in the 10th house, there can be many opportunities with your career, and maybe you're going back and forth to see which one is truly aligned. Different ideas, different ways of doing things, different ways of showing up out in the world, but you are super lucky with opportunities. So it's all about getting into alignment with your faith and belief and trust in yourself and your vision with what you have to believe that you can do it so you can actually do it. And the more that you can see both sides of a certain thing, or just kind of be a little bit curious, be excited to receive new opportunities, the more I think you can really get aligned to what's really meant for you and then who's really meant for you. Yeah. Relationships, it's like you might have to surrender certain relationships so you can evolve into higher relationships, or the relationships that you're supposed to really be with right now. My throat is acting up. So maybe you got to speak more of your truth in your relationships too, so you can really get aligned. Okay. So you're receiving higher messages, definitely downloads, unity consciousness. Unity consciousness is very important with who you are out in the world right now. So the more that you can see two sides of, a different, like the left or the right, or a different way of being, or two different ways of doing something, astrology, I do true sky and then tropical, seeing both ways, multiple perspectives, multi-layered ways of seeing things, and recognizing yourself as multidimensional also can be very, very powerful. And yeah, you're kind of being guided by higher forces and to step into a role that is for the highest good of all and not just specifically for you. But yeah, at the same time, there is a powerful way you can get anchored. The first chakra, that is your root chakra, maybe with all this external higher vibrational energy, make sure you're grounded, make sure, you're really connecting to the earth core and everything. And yeah, you might be releasing certain fears, with being grounded. I've had root chakra trauma. I think, a lot of star seeds kind of do. Cause we don't want to be here. We want to be in the high vibes. So like recognize where you can but we're more powerful the more you do ground yourself, the more you invite more of yourself into this reality. So recognize where you can really be grounded with everything that will be in Sagittarius, like in January and February. There's like a whole new beginning that will be happening with your home and family. So like, yeah, maybe you want to explore, move to a different place, see where you really want to live. But yeah, it's, flexible. It's like all about what do you really want? Third eye activation, brow chakra, inner vision, clear seeing. Yeah, you're definitely being guided. You're getting a higher knowing with where you should be. So be open to receiving those downloads, and you are seeing things clearly. Like whenever you're seeing a vision of your future or inspiration, know that you're seeing it, and it's time to just start planting those seeds and kind of go in that direction. That which is blocked and buried within you forms the root of fear. Fear is caused by blockages in your energy. So yeah, again, fears with the root. You're really massively clearing those so you can be more rooted, more grounded, so you can build more stability and release all the fears that were stopping you from creating that true stability in the world. All right, Virgo, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Libra. So this is happening in your sixth house, which seems like a boring house, but this is like physically, what are we doing every day? The work, the grind, the routines, the habits, and what's serving us, what hasn't been serving us. Maybe we've been stuck in a routine or a way of working that we thought we had to be in, but it's not actually serving us. So we can kind of like release and surrender and kind of go along this like spiritual journey to really just follow your own alignment and your happiness and your excitement, to really make a routine and a structure that is going to be the most satisfying to you. Jupiter in the ninth house, there can be different ways that you're exploring higher minded things like philosophy, spirituality, maybe traveling the world. It changes your worldview, connecting with different types of people from different cultures. That is all very expansive to you right now. So you can see a broader perspective. And when you can have a higher worldview, you do give yourself more freedom to create a life that is truly meaningful to you and going to be truly satisfying to you. So sixth house, it's not like the work and the grind, like life has to be boring. You can make life enjoyable every single day, but it's all about becoming aware of what you're doing on a daily basis. So you can structure reality in a way that is truly soulfully fulfilling to you. So definitely follow your curiosity and follow your excitement. When it comes to traveling the world, studying something, expanding a world, stuff like that, because you're just very lucky with kind of following your, the ninth house is where you kind of like follow, you're optimistic and you feel like you can do anything and you believe in this vision and you're excited for it. And it's where you just start going in that direction. And then life just gets easier because you're like doing what you were here to do, because you're on your Dharma path. You're on your Dharma timeline. So recognize where it's going to pay off to be a little bit curious, to be open-minded, to not be too dogmatic. This is where you can really combine multiple worldview perspectives, different religions, whatever, to, just open up your world in a way and give yourself more freedom, more options. Okay, so deep inner release is a spiritual path in and of itself. It is the path of non-resistance, the path of acceptance, and the path of surrender. Yeah, you're clearing out physically. What do you do every day that was actually like internal, that was creating more resistance and more blockages where there didn't even have to be any blockages? So a spiritual practice can really help you every single day, maybe just, becoming more aware in whatever way you can of what you're doing with your habits, diet, routine, exercise, work. What are you doing? And is it super fulfilling to you, because having a good diet like does make you feel lighter and make you feel like when you really care about the food that you're eating, it does like give you more fulfillment and more energy. If you really care about, your work, soulfully aligned work would be very powerful. Some sort of art project, music, because Neptune's all about art, music, spirituality, taking that seriously. You could start a new job that is more in alignment with that, especially in February. But explore your options with Jupiter going retrograde the next 3 months and then going for direct. It's time to explore your options, because it's kind of like you'll get onto your path, actually, like the less you try. Like it is more about just surrendering and getting all of life and all of your manifestations. It is more so about removing the blockages that cause all the resistance than the external, so realize the power with that. Strategy. Yeah. Maybe new strategies come your way. New information. Journaling can be very helpful because journaling came out. But healer of the ages. Yeah, you might be called to step up and heal. The way you heal yourself is the way you heal others. And Order of Melchizedek. Embraced by light, mission uncovered. Don't give up. Yeah, your mission is definitely being uncovered with Jupiter in the 9th house, and it is your lucky timeline. It's going to be very exciting, very expansive. Hathor, light codes, light immersion, full system upgrade, power recall. So maybe something special is happening. Oh yeah, with the 8th house, Uranus in the 8th house, because Hathor reminds me of the Pleiades. Maybe you go down this spiritual journey, uncovering the occult stuff and everything, but that is like awakening you to this higher path that is, a part of your mission. And yeah, but it's coming from a place of remembering and you just going internal. And yeah, also recognize that you're being upgraded right now internally. All the blockages, like Uranus is busting through the blockages internally, like the fears, the doubts, the 8th house things. So you can really just wake up in a whole new way and start radiating your light from the inside out and realizing that that is more powerful and you can easily magnetize everything to you. It's kind of like when you try so hard in the physical, but if it's not aligned, if it doesn't have that heart charge, it's going to be difficult and it's not going to work really. The more you follow your heart, the more you're going to get aligned and the more that it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of effort and then it just kind of goes anyway. Okay, Libra, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Scorpio. So this is happening in your 5th house, which is very exciting because obviously the 5th house, Scorpio Ophiuchus. And did I just okay, so I also found out Scorpio literally takes up this much of the Scorpio Ophiuchus part, and then Ophiuchus is mainly part of it. So most of you guys are probably actually Ophiuchus. And I don't even like that name, Ophiuchus. I wanted to start saying Jesus because it is literally Jesus's journey and everything. But I'm not going to do that because that does make it, one religion oriented or a couple religion oriented versus all the religions, because Ophiuchus, every single religion has a Jesus story, like a 3-day resurrection story. There's Shiva, there's Horus, there's a ton of other ones. But anyway, Addis, Mithras. But anyway, so you guys are powerful. You guys are the light bringers of this world. You guys are the ascension guides and everything. But so this isn't a very fun place for you. This is you going through a heart awakening. And, because the 5th house is your heart and your inner child. And, it's really beneficial right now to really connect to your inner child. And what did you like doing as a kid? Because that will guide you to what the things that you're actually supposed to be doing. You could be really getting into creative projects to something that calls your heart. is the direction to go in. It's time to listen to the heart. It's time to listen to where your heart is calling you, because that is leading you to this bigger direction that you're meant to go in. And there can be very, very strong like soul connections coming in for sure, especially since it's trying Jupiter in the 8th house. This is like major healing and releasing of blockages, heart blockages, you know, through a super strong connection. And this could be a divine counterpart. It could be a twin flame. It could be, some sort of strong spiritual connection, because that's how it happens. And it's not always comfortable. Sometimes they come in to like, bust down a heart wall. But once that happens, then, releasing the broken heart. You're releasing all the ways that you shielded your heart off in the past that was keeping you blocked from your source. Look at this one that came out too, heart source. Bam, you're awakening your heart. All-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, serenity. Yeah, the more you open your heart and the more that you can just keep your heart open, the more you are letting source flow through you and your own light flow through you, so you can be on your Dharma timeline and create abundance, beauty, love, fun, excitement. And, and you could be doing this for work, the more you open your heart, the more you're going to be led towards like heart-led jobs and spiritually aligned jobs that are super fulfilling for your soul, where you can be the most powerful version of you and the most authentic version of you. And it's all about surrendering. It's surrendering and keeping the heart open, which is so confusing. Like when you're first going through the spiritual awakening, it's like, especially if it's like a twin flame, it's just like, get out of the mind, stay in the heart. That's the only way, because the more you try to stay logical, the worse it'll get. So really just stay in your heart, surrender, keep it open, release all the ways that your heart has been broken in the past, because that's just blocking you off from that higher love that truly wants to come in. Because Jupiter in the 8th house, you could be going through, some sort of spiritual path, doing a lot of shadow work and inner work, journaling, doing a lot of just inner self-discovery with your shadows. But when Jupiter goes through the 8th house, it's kind of like getting all of your chakras aligned. It just happens, in a more optimistic and excited way. It just kind of gets you energetically aligned to more of who you truly are. You get more embodied. You get to shine more of your light, because it just clears all the blockages in the chakras, which the root, it's like fear, doubt. With the second one, it's like shame. With the third one, it's like, who am I? And the identity attacks. So you can't be empowered. With the heart, obviously. Anyway, on and on and on, clearing out all the, the shadows. So you are more energetically charged. So you can attract in soul-aligned connections and opportunities. And you can start soul-aligned businesses that are really, really, truly meant for you. It is a lucky time for investing too. Like if you feel called to invest in something, whether it is a business or a certain community, starting, something online, because Gemini is online. It's also community. It's different ideas. It could be like crypto or AI stuff or stocks. I don't know, like watch out for like, obviously not financial advice, because I think the stock market is going to take a big fat dump in February, but that's an opportunity when February hits. So, but not financial advice. There are financial astrologers. You can go find them. And I think tropical actually works better. But either way, like Saturn and Neptune are conjuncting in both systems. But like I've looked in the tropical and at the stock market chart, and it does not look good. So blossoming abundance. You are awakening to the abundance that is innate to you. It's just already within you. It's in your heart. It's in your soul. The more that you recognize the abundance inside of you, the more you're going to see the opportunities externally and magnetize into you. So that which is blocked and buried within you forms the root of fear. Fear causes blockages in your energy. So you're releasing all the fears that were blocking your original energy. Unfortunately, or fortunately, deep within us, there is a direct connection to the divine, and you're realizing that. The more you open your heart, the more you go through this 8th house purge, the more you are recognizing your innate divine connection to the divine that will always guide you in the right direction. All right, Scorpio, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Sagittarius. Okay, so this is happening in your 4th house. This is your home, family, your foundation, your internal world. So you could be going through a major awakening, because the 4th house, like with Neptune and Saturn conjunct, there could be a lot of like stories from the past just being released, illusions. The past isn't really real. The more that we, go back to the past and we listen to everybody's perspective, everyone has a different perspective. The past isn't really real. There is just only the now and moving forward. And the more that you're recognizing the now and who you are and the core of who you truly are, now and who you are awakening to, the more all those blocks and illusions can kind of get released. So you can take what's going on internally inside of you way more seriously, because you just got to kind of surrender, kind of let the path be unfolded to you. And you might be going on a quest with like, where do you want to live? Do you want to live somewhere different? Do you want to, are you being called in a certain direction? Are you being called towards certain relationships? And going on this like spiritual journey with it. With Jupiter in the 7th house, soul aligned connections can definitely be coming in that are very, very strong. And this could be divine counterparts. This could be twin flames. This could be, just those strong soulmate connections that come and awaken you in some way. And it's not always comfortable, but, the mirror is going to serve you right now. The more that you can see both sides and see what the mirror is showing you, the more you are going to find more power within. But this is kind of like getting aligned with like soul family, or with who do you want as your family? Like, do you want to start a family? Do you want to, or are people coming into your life that are kind of like friends turning into family? This kind of looks like. And the 7th house is all kinds of relationships. It is friends, it is romantic, it is business. There can be people coming in that just feel really foundational, in that they give you a lot of support and possibly just a lot of like soul remembrance of who you truly are. And with Jupiter and Gemini, it could be like meeting them online even, or meeting them in the community, meeting them, doing some sort of hobby or skill, going towards one of your skills. That is the best way to meet somebody in alignment with you, is like going, I always hear like, I got randomly interested in this thing and I started doing it, and then I met my husband, and that's usually how it goes. So realize like wherever you're following your curiosity when it comes to just even your hobbies, you could be, going towards your future husband. And if you've been having troubles or heaviness when it comes to home and family and those personal relationships, this could be totally a time where you're seeing multiple perspectives now. You're seeing that things aren't, one dimensional or just from one perspective. You can really, just open up your world in some way, or your perception in some ways that where it might have been limited before. Okay, so 7th chakra, Archangel Uriel. There's like oneness and unity and higher messages that are coming to you from your higher self. And it's definitely important to like stay open and really listen to that Spiritual energy is what you're experiencing when you're enthused by something, and all this high energy comes up inside of you. So yeah, listen to what you're getting enthused by, like whatever you're excited about, whatever feels expansive, whatever feels like creative. That is like where you need to kind of go to find that ultimate expansion, because that's you talking to you, being like, go in this direction. This is where the fulfillment is. Because Saturn in the fourth can be like melancholy or whatever, but it's literally just so you're getting more self-aware. So you go in the direction that is going to be the most fulfilling to you. And yeah, if you just are feeling too bogged down, maybe you're trying to keep things too much of the same. You might need to put up some boundaries with certain relationships, or you might need to let go of something for a little bit. Realize just where that lightness is, because that's going to guide you in the right direction. Strategy. Yeah, there can be new strategies that come your way. So definitely stay open. And they definitely can come from different significant relationships. Venusian Galactic Council. Starbeing guides answer the call, time to shine. Yeah, there's some way that you're radiating from the inside out, and it's going to come from doing what you love. First, doing something that you love, doing something that you enjoy. But yeah, you're just being called to radiate from the inside out in a way that you never have before. All right, Sagittarius, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Capricorn. Okay, so this is happening in your third house, which the third house is literally what do you do every day in your everyday life? But it's an important house because this is what are your thoughts, words, actions all lined up with what you truly want in your manifestations. Because you can be dreaming really big. You can be getting like just really guided in a very strong way on a daily basis to go in the right direction. And maybe you do got to surrender for a little bit, but you trusting the surrender like actually leads you on the highest timeline. So it's important to not be too rigid, not be too controlling, and to really just tune into the higher mind and your higher self on a daily basis to with what's right for you. Indecision came out. That's so funny. So yeah, indecision, because things can be a little cloudy and hazy with Neptune and Saturn. It's like, where's the structure? We don't know. But the more you can just live in the present moment, moment to moment to moment, and focusing on your happiness, that is going to guide you in the right direction and in the highest direction. And yeah, there might be something that you might be needing to create. This is the house of writing, speaking, blogging, online stuff, whatever you feel really called to do. If you feel like you're being called to create something, that can be very, very powerful, because Neptune does have to do with creativity and spirituality, the arts, movies, media. That could be a really solid thing that you start, in February. If there's some sort of creative project that you've been wanting to start, you've been feeling the call. And you know what? It's like, if it's a really big dream that you have, you really just have to do one thing to start it. And that's like opening up the tab or buying that class, or like just do one thing. And then you just get the rest of the energy to go through all of it, like someday in the future, and it's just easier. Like you slowly build the stamina, and the vision like comes faster if you're just like, you put one little effort into it, and then you just like, then it just comes like tumbling out. It's kind of like creativity, like, or songwriters, they always say like, I didn't write that song. It just happened, like I just sat down one day and it just came out, all at once. Like, band members, they didn't like write that song. They were just jamming out with their friends and having a good time. And yeah, that's the kind of creativity that wants to flow through you. And it's literally just that higher intelligence that wants to flow through you. So the more that you get serious about that, the more you can let magic really happen in your everyday life. So try less. Surrender, have more fun, prioritize your happiness and your creativity. And yeah, it's less about deciding and being too stuck in the mind. Be in your heart. Yep. Venusian Galactic Council. Oh yeah, and trying Jupiter in the sixth house. Yeah, maybe it is time to really do what you love for work. There can be a lot of things going on in your everyday life. The sixth house is like physically, what are we doing in our everyday life? And maybe there's a lot of people, maybe there's a lot of work, but it's important to align with work that really, feels good to us. So directing your focus onto the right projects and the right people, and expanding those things, wherever your heart is calling you, that is the direction. But if you've been looking for a new job, like this would be a time where, a new job can easily come in, especially in February, like ideal job, that is what you've been manifesting. But it can come in sooner. So just like eye on the prize, like a soulfully aligned job that is really meant for you, especially with the North Node in the second house. Manifest it. You can easily manifest it. So Venusian Galactic Council, Starbeam guides, answer the call, time to shine. There's a way you're being called to do what you love. And Venusian is all about like relationships, art, beauty, all the, nice things in life. And you answering the call towards those things towards where your heart is pulling you this is the opportunity. This is the time. Who is having all these physical, emotional, and mental experiences? Notice who is experiencing the experience. Realize that you, the experiencer, have a certain quality, and that quality is awareness, consciousness, an intuitive sense of existence. You exist regardless, regardless, thoughts or no thoughts. So yeah, you could be kind of going through a mental clearing and just kind of like becoming the creator. And I talked about this in the beginning of the video. You becoming the ultimate creator of your reality is you choosing what thoughts and emotions and experiences you want to experience and putting your energy there. And otherwise, the other ones don't have to be there. Like they'll go away faster if you don't put energy into them. But yeah, you're becoming more aware in your everyday basis. So you can step into that ultimate creator mode. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah. I think in your everyday life too, with Neptune in the third house, you can be very open to receiving other people's energies. So just be aware of that. There can be like thoughts and feelings and whatever that comes your way that is not necessarily from you. And maybe the more sensitive that you get to that, the more awareness that you can have around that. If you go very deep, that is where you live. You live in the seat of consciousness. A true spiritual being lives there without effort and without intent. So yeah, I think the more you just decide to live in your higher consciousness and just kind of flow along, the more you're going to find the most happiness in these creative projects and opportunities, and you're kind of going to be called to exactly where you need to be. All right, Capricorn, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Aquarius. Okay, so the dream wants to happen for your money. So the second house is like your money and your income. With Neptune, it's like asking you to maybe go towards something that is spiritual or soulfully aligned with you. It doesn't have to be spiritual for it to be soulfully aligned. It just can be something that you really want to do. Where are your desires pulling you? And then that could be ultimately the right direction that you're going in. But yeah, there can be a test, like if you're facing a lot of blocks or limitations when it comes to money, you might be being guided towards a different direction with where you're actually supposed to be. Because Jupiter in the fifth house, there's abundance with it being called where your heart is calling you. because Jupiter is really expanding your heart, and you could be expanding your heart with different perspectives, different ways of seeing things, relationships coming your way that really awaken your heart. But this is also like you just having a big boost with creative ideas that could be coming your way that you might want to start taking seriously. This is the time to like really let those creative ideas like hit, those creative downloads hit, and you like ground it into reality because they're coming from the ethers. They're not coming from this realm. And those will be the most lucrative ideas because those ideas are definitely for the collective and not just for you. And yeah, you can make a lot of money, but it's you got to recognize your own value with these ideas because door to value actually came out reversed. So the more that you recognize your value and your worth, and it could just be a small idea. And sometimes it's like you start out with a small idea and you go on this like spiritual adventure, but where it takes you is like a bigger idea and a bigger concept of what you're actually supposed to be doing. I kind of went on a venture like this, and now I kind of have a bigger vision of what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm excited for that. But the more that you can just be playful, curious, following your heart, you will be rewarded with this trine to Jupiter. A soul aligned connection can definitely be coming in, divine counterpart, twin flame, awakening your heart to more of who you truly are, releasing all the blocks. Let me pull one of these. And yeah. Okay, so you must go through the darkest night in order to get to the infinite light. What we call darkness is really the blockage of light. So yeah, sometimes it can be difficult with Saturn in the second house because financial issues, like you need finances to like really do well here, but it's because more money wants to come in, like more money than you can really think about wants to come in. But it's going to take trust in the divine and where you're being called. That is probably a part of this higher mission and this higher opportunity. And the more that you recognize your value and you have faith and trust in your own vision and that inner knowing that you're getting, the more the money can really totally fly in. The fourth house, yep, you're going through a heart awakening. Let your heart awaken because that's really going to guide you to where you're supposed to go. The heart has more intelligence than the brain. Like it does like have more connection to the field. So listening to your heart with where you're being called, you will go in the right direction. But we have to realize that, we were programmed wrong to prioritize this when we need to be prioritizing this. Because this just keeps you stuck a lot of the time. This can keep you stuck in bad, jobs and relationships. And if you're questioning something over and over and over and over again, it's time to listen to your heart and kind of really trust where your heart is calling you. Sacred inner space, sacral chakra, tenderness, sensuality. So yeah, you could be going through a Kundalini awakening because the fifth house is very like Kundalini awakening. But the more you let that rise, the more you can kind of, it'll be helpful to work on your feminine energy too. Because the second chakra is all about creativity and feminine energy. And maybe you need to dance. Maybe you need a self-care, self-love. Really get that sacral chakra boost because it is going to be very, very abundant for you to create whatever you're being guided to create. And Pleiadian activation, coming together, harmony in the heavens, resolution. So yeah, this is a very high dimensional type of harmony coming in. And it could be higher dimensional love that is really coming in right now. Uranus is right on the Pleiades in your fourth house right now. So you could be internally awakening to this like higher dimension of love that wants to be grounded into this reality. So trust the messages that you get that are higher, that not even messages, because like messages you want to think, that's going to be happening in the mind, but you're going to be feeling this more so in your body, and there's going to be more of a knowing of more harmony, just being kind of grounded into this reality that will bring the resolution where things seem chaotic. You know, the more you can just be in this harmonic flow, like that is coming from your internal world first, the more you will just kind of be guided towards like this abundance and the things that your heart wants to create and the things that really fulfill your heart. And it all comes from trusting the internal remembrance first. All right, Aquarius, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio.